Hello, everyone, and good evening. Welcome to this evening's webinar. I'm really excited for this topic that people seem to have expressed a lot of interest in. So I guess it's something we all think about, and that is the dirty dozen, how to answer the 12 most difficult questions that patients ask. You know, patients ask these questions, and I don't mean to be nasty or jerky or say anything wrong, but they ask these questions that we just don't like. Why did my last dentist tell me I needed this? Oh, why is your fee so expensive? Why didn't you take my insurance? All these things, and they're totally legitimate questions, and it doesn't reflect upon the patient. They're still great patients, but it reflects upon us if we don't have a good answer every single time to these difficult questions the patients ask. And that doesn't mean they have to be long answers. It doesn't mean they have to be complicated answers, but we need good answers. Answers that not only satisfy the patient, but hopefully guide them towards the next step, which is making an appointment, either as a new patient or making an appointment to get their procedure done. Whatever it is, we want our questions to satisfy the patient and guide them into the next step. So I am Dr. Richard Maddow, for those of you who don't know me, and maybe I don't know some of you either. I'm co-founder, along with my brother Dave, Dr. David Maddow, of the Maddow Center for Dental Practice Success. And yes, we are both real dentists, and we have been speaking, teaching, coaching, writing, blogging, podcasting, YouTubing, all these things. Well, certainly not YouTubing for over 30 years, but we've been doing all these things to work with our fellow colleagues, dentists and team members for well over 30 years. And I know there are a lot of people out there teaching, lecturing, coaching, podcasting, et cetera, but I think it's really cool that we're both actual dentists. And Dave and I both built our own practices. We never practiced together. We both built our own practices from scratch. Dave started a practice with a partner in 1980 or 1982, somewhere around there. About 4 or 5 years later, I purchased a practice that was actually a bankrupt practice. And it had a sign on the door that said dental practice for sale, which has always cracked me up. I mean, could you imagine going to your dentist for an appointment and there was a sign on the door that said dental practice for sale? Well, maybe that's why it didn't work out that well. So I kind of purchased this practice. It was underground when I bought it. And we both worked really hard and learned a lot of things along the way and built up our practices and kind of got into this whole crazy lecturing, coaching, webinaring thing. It's been so much fun, and it's just great to meet dentists from all around the world. But we deal mostly with dentists from the US and Canada. And I got to tell you, I really miss being out there on the road at the major dental meetings, lecturing all across North America. And we've done all the large meetings and many small study clubs where it feels like we're in somebody's living room, and they're all so much fun. And it's just great having that person-to-person eye contact and smiles and handshakes. Remember the days when we used to shake hands and hug a little bit? Well, those days are gone for now. And because of that, we've been doing more and more webinars. And this has been fun also. Not quite the same, but it's certainly easier for you. You can just be in your living room or kitchen or office or in the state park or wherever you are. And I'm here in my home office in downtown Baltimore, Maryland. So there's some advantages about that too. But since we're not all together and we don't have that, we don't have that spark of getting in a room full of people, just for a second, picture that you're in a large arena and hundreds of dentists and dental team members are in there, socially distanced, of course, but we're all in there together, learning, having fun, maybe even laughing a little bit. And I think it'll just create the good mindset because we are all in this together. And I don't believe there's competition in dentistry. There are plenty of patients and plenty of procedures out there for everyone. So we're all learning together, all helping one another. And that's how we're going to look at it tonight. Now, let me see if my slideshow works. I'm trying to advance the slide. There it is. There's our contact information, maddow.com. If you want to email, info@maddow.com always works. If you can remember this, you want to email me personally, you can do rich, R-I-C-H, @maddow.com, but info will get to me or Dave or whoever it's directed to as well. So that's how you get in touch with us. So these are interactive webinars, which means you can participate. But if you look on your screen, there are a few different things. One is called Q&A, and although it's kind of doesn't make sense, please do not use the Q&A if you want to do question and answer. We would like everybody to use the chat function. Now on mine, I know everybody's is different. I've got a MacBook Pro here. I've got to hit the 3 dots that say more to bring up the chat. On yours, it might be running your control panel, but try to look for it now. And when you want to make a comment or ask a question, please use the chat function, not the Q&A. And also when you do it, you'll be given the choice of directing your comment or your question at all panelists or all panelists and attendees. So please do it to all panelists and attendees, unless there's something really, really private. You only want to tell me and Sylvia, who's doing our admin work for our webinar tonight. You can do all panelists. But I would much prefer that if you want to make any comments, do all panelists and attendees. So let's do a little practice round to see if you got this down. If you can go in the chat box to all panelists and attendees, why don't you tell us where you're from, or just a little comment or whatever it is. And I see a few people have already done that. So let's see where everybody's from. We've got, wow, Winnipeg, Canada. We got Jeff Bresler there. Oh, Harry, you're from Australia. Cool. Where in Australia? I'm going to guess New South Wales. I don't know why. I'm in a New South Wales move tonight. We got Deborah Barr from California, Glenn from Jericho, New York, Heidi Miller from Foxborough, Massachusetts, home of where the Patriots play. I don't know if they still play there. George from Key West. Wow, say hi to Jimmy Buffett and Ernest Hemingway. We got Sacramento, Pennsylvania, New Hampshire. I love New Hampshire. I'd love to be sitting at Lake Winnipesaukee right now. David Fine, my friend David Fine from West Palm, Maine, Waco, Texas. Wow, Baltimore, Maryland, where I am too. Fantastic. The Woodlands in Texas, Chicago, Melbourne. Wow, incredible. Melbourne, Australia, Iowa, Tulsa. Oh, too many to read here. I'm just going to Palm Desert, California, Wheaton, Illinois, Toronto, Michigan, St. Louis, SoCal, Toronto. I'm just kind of scrolling. They're still coming. Southern Maryland. I want to say a special hello to my friend, Dr. Eduardo Vargas from Bowie, Maryland. I know he's on this webinar tonight, so he gets a special hello. Wichita, Kansas. Wow, how's that lineman doing in Wichita? Are they still on that line? I always wonder. We got Joseph Russo from Boston. Wow. Not only all over North America tonight, but some people from Australia as well. So good day. I think it's day down there already in Australia. Good on you for being here. Great to have you. And we picked up a lot of Canadian friends when our buddy Dr. Mitchell Josephs, who went to school in Canada, did a lecture for us. Gina from the DMV, that's a local term, the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. Orlando, my son Stephen and daughter-in-law Jess live in Orlando. All right, well, thanks so much for doing that. Good to see the chat function works. And I think you probably want to move on. And let's get to the dirty dozen, how to answer the 12 most difficult questions that patients ask. Before we get into the meat of this presentation, as a lot of you know that have attended our webinars and seminars, I always like to start with a little tip that will either save you money or earn you money without a lot of effort. So even if you don't get anything out of tonight's webinar, which there's no way that's going to be the case, you will get a lot of great things out of it. I want you to say, hey, I got that one tip that saved me thousands or earned me thousands right away. And here it is for tonight. I don't know if you are recycling your dental scrap, but even if you are, pay attention because this is going to be a valuable tip. But if you're not recycling your dental scrap or you're sending it to the wrong place, which there's a good chance you are literally losing thousands of dollars every year. Now, even more so now because precious metals are at an all-time high. Maybe whenever the economy's kind of crazy because of COVID and nobody knows which way is up or what's going to happen, that's when precious metals prices go up. And they are really high right now. So your dental scrap has gold, it has silver, platinum, palladium, all kinds of metals that are extremely valuable. And I know some people kind of recycle their metals to a scrap dealer, others don't, but here's the problem. You are probably getting ripped off in your scrap reselling. And one way to really get ripped off is to sell it to $2 a gram stand. Who the heck is $2 a gram stand? $2 a gram stands, that guy or gal, they come into your office with their little scale and they say, I'll pay you cash on the spot. That sounds tempting. You don't have to wait for your metals to be assayed or you know, to figure out exactly what the composition is and melt it down. $2 a gram stand gives you cash on the spot. But think about it. How can he pay you cash on the spot when he hasn't assayed or melted down your metals? He doesn't even know what he's getting. Well, the way he can do it is he pays you such an incredibly low rate that you can give him a bunch of aluminum foil and he still wouldn't lose. So he's a rip-off artist. So don't do that whatever you do. But even if you're using one of the legit scrap recyclers, think about it. They have huge overhead. They've got the 4-page spreads in the journals, the 1,000 by 1,000-foot booths at the conventions, salespeople who are commissioned. They're taking, no matter what they tell you about their percentage, they're taking things off the top in service charges and hidden charges. And even though you might be getting a decent amount from them, you are getting ripped off. So I'm telling you, you do. You gotta call our buddies at Southern Dental Refining. They are a family-owned business. They're extremely low overhead, no commission salespeople. You probably never heard of them because they don't do the big ads in the journals or the huge displays of the Chicago Midwinter, which hopefully will come back one day. We all miss the Chicago Midwinter and all the great meetings. But the point is, these guys, Southern Dental Refining, have very, very low overhead. They will absolutely pay you the best. I'm going to guarantee it. You can compare and contrast. They will pay you the best. So check them out. Just go to matto.com/gold, or you can call that phone number 813-363-3309. But the easiest way, go to matto.com/gold. You will absolutely be happy. Now you might be thinking, it's a hassle. I've never done it. I'm not going to worry about it. How much could they possibly pay me anyway? Well, it's funny. I asked Alan Katz, who owns Southern Dental Refining, I said, hey, just send me a shot of a check you just mailed to a dentist recently. He said, I don't care if it's the biggest check you've ever mailed or the smallest, just one that you mailed out recently. And let's see, got a copy of it. I blanked out the name. This dentist just decided to send in their scrap. They got $6,445. Check, sent right to you. So without further ado, I'm just going to say, do it. You got to use SDR, Southern Dental Refining. Go to matto.com/gold. They'll set you up. Maybe you'll be getting a check like that next month. Okay, let's talk about the dirty dozen. The 12 most difficult questions that patients ask. But I want to first ask you if your practice is calibrated, because after this webinar, you're going to have great answers to some of these questions. You'll probably have other answers that you've thought of, because this just kind of gets your mind going. What are some great answers? But if you don't do anything about it, it does you no good. So your practice needs to be calibrated. And I talked about this in our last webinar a little bit. I'm just going to briefly discuss it tonight. And that means every single team member and doctor in your office needs to have the same answer when a question is asked. That doesn't mean that you spit it out word for word verbatim like a robot, but it means if somebody asks your dental assistant a question when you leave the room, then ask you the same question when you come back in the room, then they go up to the front desk and ask the same question. In most practices, they're going to hear 3 different answers because those practices aren't calibrated. So call a team meeting. Discuss the questions that we're talking about tonight. Make up your own questions. Whatever it is, maybe a patient asked a question that day and you want to talk about it. But make sure that you come up with a great answer and that every single person in the practice has the same answer. And when they do, your practice will be calibrated. All right, so let's get down to it. Let's talk about the dirty dozen, 12 most difficult questions patients ask. Starting off with number 1, one of my favorite ones. Why didn't my last dentist tell me I needed to do this? This is a question we face all the time. Somebody transfers from another practice, and maybe they were seeing the same dentist for 110 years, and that dentist just did not do their diagnoses at the same level that you're doing them. But then you've got a patient who maybe thinks that you're the ripoff artist. They think because you did a great diagnosis and you're presenting them with excellent treatment, they think you're trying to cheat them because their last dentist didn't tell them that they needed it. So how do we handle this? Why didn't my last dentist tell me I needed this? Well, first of all, here's what you don't do. Never, ever, ever say anything bad about the previous dentist, because remember, maybe that dentist wasn't a great diagnostician. Maybe they were blind. I don't know. But there's a good chance that patient had a great relationship with that dentist. And if you throw that dentist under the bus, it's going to make you look bad. Like you're trying to make them look bad so you can look good. It's never good to say anything negative about anyone anyway. So whatever you do, don't say anything bad about the previous dentist. But then how do you account for the fact that they had their checkup 8 months ago and now you're telling them something completely different? Well, here's a great answer. Say something like, I don't know what the circumstances were when you saw your previous dentist, but I can definitely tell you that our examination today shows the need for a crown, and we need to get it taken care of as soon as possible. So you're kind of backing them up. You weren't there. You don't know what happened there. Maybe things were different. I don't know what the circumstances were when you saw your previous dentist, but I can definitely tell you that our examination today shows the need for a crown, and we need to get it taken care of as soon as possible. Now, how about if you're doing perio? It gets a little tougher because just most people, perio is so vague. They get a cleaning, they get all cleanings are the same, a deep cleaning, a regular cleaning, a scaling, a root planing. So resist the temptation to say your last dentist didn't even own a perio probe. We'd all love to say that, and it's probably true, but don't say that. Just say something like, The latest research has shown a very important, and again, start with the thing where you weren't there. I don't know the circumstances were when you saw the previous dentist, but this is what I'm seeing today. And the latest research has shown a very important link between the health of your gums and your overall health. And also, more adults lose their teeth due to gum disease than anything else. Most people don't realize that. They think people lose their teeth due to decay, bar fights. I don't know what they think, but make sure they know more adults lose their teeth due to gum disease than anything else. So we try to do the most thorough job possible when examining your gums. After all, we want you to be healthy and we want you to have your teeth for the rest of your life. So you're framing it very positively. The reason you're doing this is so that patient can have their teeth for the rest of their life. Okay, let's move on to question number 2 of the Dirty Dozen. I love this one. Why didn't this tooth hurt until you did the filling? It never hurt before you did the fill. So many people still think that if they don't have any pain, they don't need any dental treatment. So they come in, no pain. You tell them they have a cavity. It needs a restoration. You do this restoration. It's deeper than you ever thought it would be. And then sure enough, the patient's sensitive to hot and cold. They got that little throb there, whatever it is. And they blame you because it didn't hurt when I came in. And now this tooth hurts. Why didn't this tooth hurt until you did the filling? Well, the best strategy is to preempt this. Just avoid the question completely. Make sure that question doesn't happen by managing the patient's expectations. Do this correctly, and you will rarely have to answer that question. Let them know before any procedure. I don't care if you're doing a buccal pit that's 0.0001 millimeter. Preempt this. Let them know after any procedure that there may be some discomfort. So, before you do it, say, hey, it's very normal to have a little sensitivity or discomfort when the numbness wears off. As a matter of fact, if you want to take, are you allergic to ibuprofen or Motrin? No, here, why don't I give you 400 milligrams of ibuprofen right now? Give it to them while they're still numb. That reduces the inflammation. Do the night call. So if they are having any discomfort, you can be proactive and call them at night. Do the video we talked about last time, whatever it is. The fact is, don't let it hit them by surprise. And you will be preempting this question 99% of the time. I remember when I was a kid, I used to go to my orthodontist. He'd crack those things up like there was no tomorrow, and put his hand on my shoulder and say, this is going to be a little tender for a while. Oh my God, it was like the worst pain I ever had for a week. But he warned me. So I don't think my mom called him screaming or anything because we expected it to be sore. We thought it was normal. So preempt this. But if you forget, or for some reason they still say, why didn't this tooth hurt until you did the filling? Let's give them a somewhat scientific explanation. Something like, Jim, anytime you treat any part of the human body, whether it's a tooth, an arm, your nose, whatever, you stir up the nerve tissue and you create a reaction which can be uncomfortable. Imagine if you had a mole on your arm and a dermatologist removed it. It would be very sensitive afterwards. For some reason, physicians get away with this crap and we don't. So give them that example. Imagine if you had a mole on your arm and a dermatologist removed it. It will be very sensitive afterwards. Well, it's the same thing here. Most importantly, this is a perfectly normal response to the treatment you had. So please stay in touch and let us know if things don't start to feel better soon. Boom. Now, every fear that patient had, they mainly want to know this is normal. It's to be expected. So again, better to tell them before, but if you forget, give them this little spiel afterwards. They should love it. Okay. Now here's full disclosure. I was working on this PowerPoint up until about an hour ago just to make sure I liked it. And I switched question number 3 because my buddy, Dr. Bill Ingram from Alabama, sent in this question. I love this, and it's just going to take a second to do it, but I wanted to make it question number 3 because I think it's so great. What do you say when a patient just says, hey, doc, did I just pay for your vacation? Or hey, doc, did I just pay for your Mercedes, your kid's tuition, your mansion, your Rolls Royce, whatever it is? I mean, patients think that if they get 3 crowns and it's, whatever, $5,000, that $5,000 goes right into your pocket. And I got to admit, the first time a patient said this to me when I was a young practitioner, I was floored. I couldn't believe, he thought he was kidding around. I couldn't believe that anybody would say that. And I seem to remember, I just launched into this whole serious conversation about, we have overhand and the fees are, the lab fees expensive and the materials and I've got to pay my, he was kind of just kidding around, but I gave the wrong answer. And I think it just ruined it for everybody. Maybe it took a little moment of levity or sarcasm and it made me look like a dweeb. And I don't think that patient really liked it too much because I kind of called him out on it. It just wasn't cool. So I remember the next time a patient said to me, because I think it had come up in our conversation. I just got back from vacation, and the patient just had some pretty serious treatment. That he said, "Hey doc, how's that vacation I just paid for?" I just said, "Oh, it was fantastic. Didn't you get my postcard?" And we both laughed, and it was over. So I would just put this question to death immediately. "Hey doc, did I just pay for that new car you got?" "Yeah, thanks so much. It drives like a charm." Just boom, that's it. Over with, done. Move on to the next topic. And yeah, they don't need to know that you live in a mansion. I got to tell you, I took this picture of my house this afternoon. I almost fell into the pool just trying to get the right angle. No, obviously this is not my house, but it's funny. I remember when I was a young practitioner, I went to this seminar by some hotshot dentist. I remember the guy, and he had a picture of his mansion with his like 5 sports cars parked in front of it. And he's doing this slide, next slide, next slide. Then this picture of his mansion comes up. He goes, "Oh, that's my house. That wasn't supposed to be in there. That was for something else. I meant to take that out." And I knew he left it in on purpose to show how wealthy he was. Uncool. If you don't show off your wealth, if you've got a nice car, good for you. Don't park it right out front with your personalized license plate that says Floss 32 or whatever. Just, no need to do that. If you've earned it and you're not in debt and you can afford it, go for it. Who cares? But I don't think it's ever a good idea to flaunt your wealth to your patients. So, all right, let's move on now. Question number 4 of the Dirty Dozen is, "Doc, can't you just fill it?" Patient comes in with a bombed out MODBL XYZ PDQ amalgam, and it might be because their old dentist would have filled that. But they say, "Doc, can't you just fill it?" In our treatment planning, or during our exam even, it's our responsibility, and it's always a really good strategy to let the patient know what could happen if we didn't do any treatment. I think that's one of the key things when you're talking to a patient about scaling and root planing, crowns, implants, periodontal, whatever it is. Let them know what could happen. Now, again, unless somebody's in severe pain or they're bleeding or they're infected, we don't like to hear this maybe, but dental treatment is optional in most cases. That doesn't mean there won't be bad consequences, but it is optional. So one option the patient always has is not doing something. And you can tell them that blatantly, like I just told them, but or you can kind of make it a little more subtle, but that is one option. But since that is one option, whether it's implied or said right out loud, it's our responsibility to always let the patient know what the consequences are of not doing anything. So this is a perfect example. Doc says, "Can't you just fill it?" Well, Jim, I don't know why our patient's name is Jim tonight, but we'll use Jim this one last time. Jim, I'd love to be able to do that for you, but if we did, it would cause more harm than good. When we remove the decay and smooth out the fractured area and take out that big old filling, and also always show your patients like this, the big blown up picture taken with your intraoral camera. When this thing is huge, "Can you just fill it?" almost becomes a moot point. But anyway, I'd love to be able to do that for you, but if we did, we would cause more harm than good. When we remove the decay, remove the old filling, and smooth out the fractured area, the tooth will be extremely weak and it just won't be able to hold a filling. If we tried, you'd be back in a short period of time and you wouldn't be too happy, because once that tooth fractures, you might need a root canal, or worse, it might not even be able to be restored and we'd have to take it out and put an implant there. So let's preempt all of that. Do this beautiful crown. It'll take care of everything. Who wouldn't be satisfied with that response? Now, again, they have the option of doing nothing, but we've got to offer them a good option and tell them exactly why we're offering that option. Okay, Dirty Dozen. Question number 5. Can I just get a regular cleaning? Sometimes we just go nuts. We think that we've explained everything about periodontal disease, and then we try to set them up for scaling and root planing. They say, "Can I just get a regular cleaning?" And again, some of this is because they were trained by their old dentist that no matter how crappy their gums were, no matter how much calculus they had, no matter how long it was between appointments, they'd come in and just get cleaned up. And they'd be charged just a fee for cleaning. If they had insurance, there would be no charge, no stress, just nothing, no confrontation, clean them up and get them out. Well, that's not the way that we're doing dentistry. That's not the way you're doing dentistry. So a lot of times we do need to tell our patients about periodontal disease, and they'll ask, "Can I just get a regular cleaning?" Now, I just want to review something really fast from the last webinar. If you were on, you probably remember that I talked about the talk over technique. And the talk over technique means that while you're doing the examination, you explain in plain English what is going on. So since we're talking about cleanings and periodontal treatment, we'll use perio as an example. What does a patient hear during the perio exam? Typically, here's what a patient hears during the perio exam. 3, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 3, 2, 4, 3, 4, 5. Good one. 3, 2, 3. It means nothing to them. It just sounds like a computer spouting off numbers. But again, this is a case of preempting it. If before we do the perio exam, the hygienist or the dentist says something to the patient like, now we're going to be examining your gums, and we're looking for inflammation and infection. Nobody wants inflammation and infection. They don't know what periodontal disease means, but they know they don't want inflammation and infection. So now we're going to examine your gums. We're looking for inflammation and infection. And the way we do this is we use this little instrument. It's like a little ruler. Again, remember, I'm speaking on the level of a 6th grader. Always crucial to do that. We use this little instrument. It's like a little ruler. And what we do is we measure how tightly your gums are attached to your teeth. And if you hear a number like a 2 or a 3, that's a sign of really good gum health, typically. Now, if you hear larger numbers, 4, 5, 6, that's a sign that there's some inflammation and infection in your gums. And if you hear us say B, the letter B, that means that when we place the instrument around your gums, we see a tiny bit of bleeding. You won't feel it, it won't bother you, but we see a tiny bit of bleeding, and that's a sure sign of infection and inflammation. So now, when you're doing the perio exam, and they hear 3, 2, 3, 3, 3, 4, 4, 4, 5, B, they already know something's going on, or they already know that you're going to be talking to them about something other than a regular cleaning. So again, use the talk over technique to already put the idea in their head and preempt it. Then if they ask, say something like, well, oh, I can't say Jim anymore. Let's move to Joan. Or let me scroll down my list and see if we've got a name here to use. That should be fun. Let's see. Stacy. Okay. Stacy from Wyoming. You're the patient now. So can I just get a regular cleaning? Well, Stacy from Wyoming, a simple cleaning is what we do when the patient's gums are totally healthy. If you remember, when we examine your gums, you have those areas of infection and even bleeding. It's important that we do everything we can to eliminate that infection so that you can keep the teeth for the rest of your life. And a simple cleaning just won't do that. It will be like putting a Band-Aid on a large infection or tumor. It may mask the problem temporarily, but won't be doing you any good. As we've discussed before, leaving this untreated could lead to you losing your teeth. So it's really crucial to have this treatment taken care of. Our goal is that once the infection in your gums is eliminated, we can put you on a schedule of regular cleanings. Boom. So now you've explained to them exactly what they need. Now comes the question, what if they say, I don't want to do that. Can I just get a regular cleaning? Well, that's up to you. I don't like it. I think it's supervised neglect. And if you're going to do that, I never do stuff like this because I think it's just a little too in the patient's face. But in this case, I would have them sign the chart that they were offered the treatment and they turned it down. But I think 99% of the time you're going to preempt it by doing the talk over technique and then giving this answer. And if they can't see that they need something more than regular cleaning, you haven't done their job. Then of course it's up to you to have the best financial options so they can afford their treatment. That's a topic for a different webinar, but we definitely want to talk about that as well. Okay, Dirty Dozen. We're almost halfway done the Dirty Dozen. Isn't this fun? Question number 6 is, the doctor talks about treatment and they leave the room, and then the dentist turns to the hygienist or the assistant and says, what would you do? That's a really tricky one, and it puts the assistant or the hygienist in an awkward position. Now, in practices that we've coached, and again, we've coached hundreds, if not thousands of practices across the US and North America and worked with thousands more on different bases. We've seen this sometimes, and more often than I think we'd like to admit, sometimes the team members, now let's face it, the dentist should be the highest earner in the practice. And team members typically do not earn as much money as the dentist, and that's just the way it goes. That's life, right? But sometimes that leads to some team members not seeing the value in dentistry. I mean, a team member themselves depending on their personal financial situation, might find it really difficult to afford really high quality dentistry. So they might not agree with it. They might be thinking the same thing, that, oh, God, it's so much money for a couple of crowns and some gum treatment. You got to be kidding me. Well, if that's the attitude of the team members, this question is going to be a real disaster. So I think it's very, very important that team members fully understand and appreciate why dentistry is such a great investment in your oral health, in your overall health, your ability to function, to smile, to eat, to chew, to live longer, to have a better life. It's an incredible investment in all those things. So we all need to realize that right from the get-go. So, okay, let's say that that's taken care of. Now, patient turns to the team member when the dentist leaves the room. What would you do? First of all, team member, never say anything bad about the doctor or anything in disagreement with the doctor. If you disagree with this, talk to the doctor about it in private. But expressing that to the patient is just a boatload of bad will for everyone involved. Now, team member, if you disagree with the doctor a lot, it's time to have a talk. I mean, maybe you don't understand the value of dentistry, or maybe if you think your doctor's not doing something right, you might be in the wrong practice. But let's straighten this out in private, team member and doctor alone. So let's say this happens. Again, preempted, just like I talked about when why didn't this hurt before you did the filling, all those things. Preempting is the best strategy. So preempted by having the team member give a built-in second opinion when the doctor's not present. Either before, I know hygienists aren't allowed to diagnose, but you kind of, you know what the doctor's going to recommend. So without diagnosing, you can say something like, I'm pretty sure the doctor is going to recommend the course of treatment called a core and a crown for that fracture tooth. So that helps preempt this. It helps with the treatment plan acceptance as well. But let's just say you're in a situation and the patient turns to a team member and says, what would you do? Just say, Jenny, I've been working with Dr. Smith for 12 years now. She is a fantastic dentist. And when I saw your tooth, I knew this was going to be her recommendation. I would definitely get it done as soon as possible. You'll be very happy you did. So if this uncomfortable question comes up, use it to your advantage. Use it for treatment acceptance. And well, I just want to thank James Gabhart for that really nice comment. You guys are dental rock stars. It's so nice to hear that. And we love doing this, but I'm blushing, but I really, really appreciate that nice comment. Thank you so much. Okay, we finished 6 of 12, half of the dirty dozen of the 12 most difficult questions patients ask. So coming up, you're probably wondering, what are the next 6 questions? They might be something along the lines of, why are your fees so high? How long will this crown last? How long can I wait until this is absolutely necessary? Do you take my insurance? But of course you're not in network. Can't you just bill me? Is this covered by insurance? And it's not, or maybe it is, but a lot less than the patient expected. And make sure you don't miss that final question, because so many patients think that dental insurance is like medical insurance. And if something's covered, that means it's covered. It doesn't mean that you have to pay 50% of it. It doesn't mean that the insurance company is maxing out at this low fee and we're going to ask you to pay the rest. It means it's covered. So you don't want to miss that one. It's really, really great answer to that question. So those are the next 6 questions coming up. I just want to take a second to tell you about something we did for the first time last week. And it turned out so incredibly well. We're doing it again, and we're calling it the Dental Success Forum. Now, again, as some of you know, some of you that have been with us for a while, now we used to have these kind of hands-on master classes. We had them typically in Baltimore. I think we did one in Chicago, one somewhere else. I can't remember where. But a group of dentists would get together, and we kept it intentionally small. Sometimes it was just 4 docs. Sometimes maybe it would be up to about 10 or 12, but they were intentionally kept small. And I was there, Dave was there, some members of our coaching team were there, some members of our admin team were there, and they were private meetings where we would go kind of head-to-head with all the docs there. Everything remained confidential. We talk about your practice issues, talk about some things in your practice that are going really well, but also talk about some areas, mainly, this is why people were there, let's face it, areas where your practice could seriously improve. And we did them live and they were great. Obviously, we can't do that these days. So we said, why don't we try an experiment? We'll do one online, a Zoom webinar format, just like you're watching right now. But unlike a webinar, it was more of a Zoom conference because we could see everybody, they could see us, we could all talk, everybody gets the chance to ask questions, talk to one another, give suggestions, hear other practices' difficulties, and learn from those as well. So we did one last week. It was fabulous. We decided we wanted to do another one. So it's I think it's next Thursday. Is that August 13th? Next Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, the Dental Success Forum. You've got to be a practice-owning dentist to sign up, but sign up as soon as you can, because we're going to keep this group intentionally very small. The last one sold out. We had a little bit of a waiting list. That's one of the reasons we're doing this next one. Just go to matto.com/forum and you can sign up. We're also going to talk to you about what would be like to work with us as your coaches. And that's one of the highlights of the event. You'll learn, no pressure, no obligation, but you'll learn what it's like to work with us and see if we think we can help your practice. Because let's face it, if you're on the forum, you want to do better. And I found that just about every dentist wants to have a better practice, wants to make more money, and wants to have more fun. You've got to enjoy going into work every day, or else it's not worthwhile. You don't do that negative happiness equation. You've got to love what you do. So come to the forum. We'll chat about it. Go to matto.com/forum, info@matto.com if you want to send us an email about it, but we'd love to see you there. We keep the attendance extremely limited. It's definitely going to sell out, even though it's free. It's going to sell out, and you don't have to get on a plane and travel to Baltimore. You're going to miss the gourmet, fantastic food that we served at our master classes, but hey, you can eat a pizza bagel while you're at the forum. I took a little screenshot of the last one. I didn't get the attendees permission to post their pictures, so I kind of blurred them out. That's why everybody kind of looks like a thumb, but it was actually a much better looking group than in this picture. But you can see the people that weren't blurred out. In the top left, there's Betty Hayden, one of our coaches. There's me. Then go down another line to the right. There's Daria Gorian, one of our incredible coaches, and we'll round out the incredible coaches in the next line. There's Kara Jones from Seattle, the Citadel. There she is. So again, I'm there, 3 great coaches, and some really, really super cool practice-owning dentists were there. And we just talked about everything, and it was so much fun. Everybody learned so much. And a few people now we're talking to about working with them as their coaches, and they're really excited about it. So a lot of great things could happen on the forum. I'm not kidding. This could actually be the day that changes your practice in your life. So if you're interested, join us. We'd love to have you there. Again, there it is, matto.com/forum. Okay, let's move on. I want to finish this before 9, so let's get to those next 6 questions. 9 o'clock Eastern time, wherever you are, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. If for some reason you can't make the forum, we can still work with you. We'll do what's called a practice snapshot. And that means within just a couple minutes, you don't have to do this. We do it for you. We look into your software, we analyze your data, and we'll schedule a phone call and review it for you. Let you know where you're doing really well. Let you know where some areas you can improve. Again, it's something we do for no charge, for practice owners only. Just go to matto.com/snapshot, and we can do that for you too. That's not a live interactive event like the forum, but if for some reason the forum's not for you or you can't make it, sign up for the snapshot. Another great way to find out what's going on in your practice, because you know, we're so busy treating our patients and helping our team and you know, doing all these things and worrying about our overhead and all those great things that sometimes we don't really have the time to learn what our software can tell us, what our practice data means. And dental software is so confusing, so we just simplify it for you, tell you the main things you need to know. You can do that at matto.com/snapshot. Somebody asked if this webinar is clothing optional. For the forum, it is not clothing optional. You need to be dressed there, whoever that wise guy was. You only asked the panelists. I see that. You don't want other people. Okay. Question number 7. Why are your fees so high? Why is it so expensive? So again, take steps to prevent this question. And one thing, if your patient is having an experience in your office, maybe doing the things you learned about on the last webinar, if your patient's having an experience like they never had before, they're going to realize your fees are a little bit higher. You know, if you go to a restaurant and it's the most beautiful place you've ever seen and everybody's dressed up in jackets and the women are wearing beautiful dressy clothing and they bring out the little, you know, appetizers without even ordering them, and it's going to be a high-priced place, right? So make it obvious to your patients that they're getting incredible treatment there, and they'll expect your fees to be a little. Doesn't mean you need a Taj Mahal office. Means you need to do all those little special things to make your patients feel special. So they're going to expect your fees to be a little bit more. But let's say a patient says, why are your fees so high, doc? You just say, Joan, in our practice, We're very proud that we're providing the best dental care we possibly can. That means we use the finest materials, the most modern equipment, the best infection control techniques. Everybody's concerned about that now. The best infection control techniques. And most importantly, we constantly take continuing education courses to stay up to date. This is all so we can give you the best treatment possible. Now, we might not be the lowest cost practice around, but we really know that the quality of our treatment we provide and the way that we care for all of our patients is reflected in our fees. After all, we're treating your teeth, your smile, your body. It's an investment in yourself and your health. And investing this amount now will save you a much larger expense down the road. So we have some fantastic payment options available to make this treatment affordable for you. That's why I put the little Care Credit logo on this slide. Yes, dental treatment can be expensive, and many people can't write that check or whip out that credit card. So you've got to have incredible treatment options. Care Credit is absolutely the best. They've been doing it longer than anybody. They understand dental. Your Care Credit rep can actually give you some fantastic tips in how to make financing more acceptable to your patients. So contact your Care Credit rep. They can do all kinds of cool things for you, but you've got to offer financing. I have a surefire Care Credit presentation. We don't have time to do it in this webinar, but I'll do that for you in the future. So stick around. But make sure that even if your fees are a little on the high side, you have options to make the treatment affordable. Give that patient this explanation that I just said, and you should have very little resistance. Now, if you want to be kind of a wise guy, you think your patient's not convinced, maybe you don't really like this patient anyway, you can say, hey, you know, Joan, if you like, I can gladly give you the names of several dentists in the community that have significantly lower fees than I do. And you know what? Everybody says, you know what, on second thought, I want to stay here, because they know exactly what that insinuates. Yes, there are schlocko dentists down the street that have lower fees, but why would you want to trust that dentist with your health? So it's a good one to say. Okay. Question number 8. I love this one. How long will this crown last? Nobody knows, but here's a great answer. How long will this, Doc, how long is this crown going to last? Well, Jim, it's really impossible to predict. And there are so many factors that influence how long any type of dental treatment will last. You know, everybody has a different way they bite and a different way they chew. And even the bacteria in everyone's mouth is different. So it's tough to say exactly how long this crown will last. Now, if it's any indication, the insurance companies will pay for a new crown every 5 years. And we know how cheap they are. Now, give it a little levity. The insurance companies will pay for a new crown every 5 years. And we all know how cheap they are, but we expect our crowns to last much longer than that, especially if you take good care of your teeth and gums. Now, this next part is optional. I did this in my practice, and I got to tell you, it was so rare when it came back to bite me that it was worth it. And I am convinced that it significantly increased my treatment plan acceptance, but a lot of dentists aren't comfortable. But here's what I would say. We'll take it back one line. We'll say, we expect our crowns to last much longer, especially if you take good care of your teeth and gums. Here's what I'll tell you, Jim. If you take good care of your teeth and come in every 4 months or every 6 months, whatever it is, for your regular cleanings and examinations, if anything ever happens to that crown, I'll replace it for you at no charge. What do you just tell this patient? That you have so much confidence in the work that you're about to do for them, you'll replace it at no charge. But they have to keep up their side of the bargain, take good care of their teeth, and come in. You know, don't open up bottles like with your teeth, like this guy in the picture. Come in for your regular cleanings. And you know what? It is so rare that you need to replace crowns under those circumstances. And if you do, you do. But this will increase your patient confidence in you so much, it's worth every single penny you'll have to spend in this warranty or whatever you want to call it. And I'm telling you, you'll have to do it so infrequently. I love this line. I'm so convinced this got more skeptical patients to say yes than anything else I ever did. I'm giving them a lifetime guarantee. So that's optional. I would highly recommend doing it. Okay, number nine. You recommend treatment to a patient and they say, how long do I have until this is absolutely necessary? Well, sometimes you'd like to give the wise guy answer. You say, well, I'll tell you what, let's make the appointment for the day before your tooth fractures. Then some people will chuckle and they'll get it. They'll say, you know, other people, that's a little too wise guy for them. So here's what I like to say. How long do I have until this treatment's absolutely necessary? Well, if I had a crystal ball, I could tell you exactly how long you could wait. But the fact is, It's impossible to predict. So what I can tell you is that the decay in this tooth is active and it's growing every single day. That's why I recommend that to keep your treatment as simple and as inexpensive as we can, and to avoid an emergency, you take care of this as soon as possible. If you don't, it could fracture, it could wind up needing a root canal, and the best thing to do is take care of it now before it's too late. So again, you're telling them the consequences of doing nothing. You're telling them that you do not have a crystal ball. So let's take care of it now before it gets expensive and painful and all those other things the patients don't like. So I see some people are commenting in the chat bar. That's fantastic. If you want everybody to see it, make your comment to attendees and panelists, not just panelists. But thank you, Dr. Robert, for that nice comment that you made to panelists. I really appreciate it. But again, if you want everyone to see it, you can do all attendees as well. Okay, let's move on to number 10. The good old, do you take my insurance, but you're not in their network. Now, I'm going to tell you something. Most of these patients, no matter what you say, you're going to lose them, because most people will go to their network dentist. It's just a fact of life. It's just like no matter how much you do to prevent no-shows and cancellations, they're going to happen from time to time. But let's still give it our best shot. Do you take this horrible PPO that pays you $1 for a crown, and you have to accept that as your fee in full? I mean, don't we hate it when patients ask that? So let's take what's a negative to them, you're not a network, and turn it into a positive. We're going to use one of my favorite phrases, unrestricted provider. If you're not a network, that makes you an unrestricted provider, because you can still see this patient, but the circumstances will be a little different. What you should never do is what some of these hotshot coaches and consultants tell you to do, which is pretty much lie. Say, oh yeah, we take all insurances, or come in for a free benefits check, or whatever it is. Don't do that. You're starting off your patient-doctor relationship with a bait and switch. It's never good. So how do you make the best of it? Well, here's my little spiel here. Say, because we know our patients don't want to be forced to choose a dentist from a discount list, we are unrestricted providers with dental insurance. That means that even though we aren't in your network, we can still see you as a patient and provide the best quality dentistry possible. We'll inform you of our fees for any necessary procedures and help you estimate how much your insurance will cover or reimburse you. That way, you won't have to choose a dentist from a list, and you still might get some help from your insurance company. We'll offer you some flexible payment options. We'll be glad to tell you about all of them. So essentially, you'll be paying our fee, and we will ask for that payment up front and get you to be reimbursed your in-network insurance company's fees directly back to you. I'll be glad to review your plan with you. You want to stop in tomorrow at 2 o'clock? Is that a good time? Boom. So you've told them the complete truth. You're not a network. They can still see you, but they are going to have to pay your fee and be reimbursed. So because we know our patients don't want to be forced, somebody just asked if I could repeat that slower, but in the regards for time, I'm not going to do that, but I will tell you, Dr. Fiona, that this will be available as a video on our YouTube channel, and you'll get all the information on how to watch it there. So you can play it, write it down, take your time with it. I do really appreciate that. I know I kind of sped up there a little bit. Oh, what the heck, I'll try to do it again, just as fast. Because we know our patients don't want to be forced to choose a dentist from a discount provider list, we are unrestricted providers. That's the key phrase with dental insurance. That means even though we're not a network, we can still see you as a patient while providing the best quality dentistry possible. Let them know that you're better than the network dentist. We'll tell you what our fee is, and we'll ask for that payment in full, and then we'll help you figure out how much you'll be reimbursed by your in-network insurance company. Will even help you submit, and they'll pay that directly to you. Just something like that. We'd be glad to review your plan with you. Can you stop in tomorrow at 2 p.m.? Is that a good time? Bingo. Got it. Okay. Let's keep rocking it. Question number 11. Can't you just bill me? Now, I don't know about you. I am not a believer in billing. I think it needs to be made clear right up front from the beginning of your patient relationship that you are, and don't make it nasty. We don't bill, we expect payment up front. Just let them know that you have several payment options. You don't send bills, but here are the options that will be available to you as a patient here. So don't make it a negative, make it a positive. Here are the great options that will be available to you. You can give discounts for cash or credit card, offer fantastic payment options through Care Credit, whatever it is. Let them know that you're aware that they're going to have questions about their payment options, and these are your options, and billing is not one of them. Now, can you make exceptions? If old Gertrude's been coming to you for 80 years and you've always given her monthly payment plans and she's never missed a payment, or maybe she was late one time because World War II broke out, well, sure, you'll let her pay you month by month. That's no big deal. But in general, we do not bill, certainly not for new patients. So why can't you just bill me? Well, Joan, we've eliminated billing in order to keep our fees as reasonable as possible. So you're giving them a benefit. We don't bill so that our fees can be lower. So, Joan, we've eliminated billing in order to keep our fees as reasonable as possible. The cost of billing is very high, and we don't want our fees to reflect that. Let's review the financial options we offer to see which is best for you. Boom, simple. Matter of fact, you're not making any excuses. You're letting them know this is actually saving them money, but you simply do not bill. Okay, that's 11 of the dirty dozen. Wow, this is so much fun. I feel like we've only all been together for about 5 minutes. So I really appreciate everybody hanging around and watching this webinar. It's been fun for me. I hope it's fun for you and that you're learning a lot too. Let's move on to before we move on to number 12, just want to remind you really fast, the Dental Practice Success Forum. It takes place August 13th. I believe that's next Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central, 6 Mountain, 5 Pacific. It's a real intimate, kind of personalized, one-on-one kind of thing. We're just going to have a very limited amount of dental practice owners on this. The lesson we did was incredible. So we'd love to see you on this one. Go to maddo.com/forum to sign up. Do it as quickly as you can. Do it as soon as this webinar is over, because we do not want to miss you on the forum. And if for some reason you can't make it, we can still talk to you. We can give you a really cool data analysis, and that you get that by going to maddo.com/snapshot. We can help you analyze your practice data. Let's face it, everybody's so confused by those reports from their dental practice software. They're way too complicated. So if you can't attend the forum and you still want to find out what's going on in your practice, go to maddo.com/snapshot and we'll take care of you right then and there. Okay, number 12. Is this covered by my insurance? Well, it's a really tough one, because even if it is covered by their insurance, patients expect dental insurance to be like medical insurance, where they're not going to have any copay, or after their, I can't even think of what it's called, that amount you have to pay up front. Maybe somebody can help me in the chat box. Your deductible, sorry. After that kicks in, everything else will be free or very inexpensive. People are used to that, but dental insurance is different. So I think it's really important that patients understand the difference between dental insurance and medical insurance. And that's why I put a little picture of a coupon on there. I can't remember where I got that. It might have been from my friend, Dr. Paul Goodman. Somebody I was reading recently uses this coupon analogy, and I really loved it. So I wanted to share it with you here. So is this covered by my insurance? Well, the great news is, so you don't just say yes, because then patients expect they're not going to have to pay anything. So here's a little example. Well, the great news is your insurance is going to cover a portion of this. Remember, the purpose of dental insurance is to help offset the cost of your treatment, not pay for it entirely. It's not like medical insurance. It's kind of like having a coupon. You know, you get a coupon and it's a certain amount off or a certain discount. That's what dental insurance is like. It helps you offset the total cost of your treatment. Now, Carol at the front desk can take a look at your coverage and give you an estimate of how much help your insurance will provide. Again, how much help it will provide. So we're framing it like a coupon. We're not acting like it's medical insurance. I'll just review that again really fast. The great news is your insurance is going to cover a portion of this. Remember, the purpose of dental insurance is to help offset the cost of your treatment. It's not like medical insurance. It doesn't pay for it entirely. Even though you have great dental insurance, it's kind of like having a coupon. So Carol can take a look at your coverage and give you an estimate of how much help your insurance will provide. Now, if it's cosmetic treatment and it's not covered at all, you can do something like this. First of all, I'm so glad that you're interested in veneers. They are going to look fantastic and you'll be smiling everywhere. Now, insurance doesn't get involved with cosmetic dental treatment, but we do have some fantastic payment options that Carol will be glad to review with you. Again, very simple, very matter of fact. You're not making any excuses. You're just putting it on the line, telling it like it is. I'll review that cosmetic one really quickly. First of all, I'm so glad you're interested in veneers. They're going to look fantastic and you will be smiling everywhere. Insurance doesn't get involved with cosmetic dental treatment, but we do have some fantastic payment options that Carol will be glad to review with you. So wow, is that it already? The Dirty Dozen? Unbelievable. The Dirty Dozen, 12 most difficult questions patients ask. Real quick review, if you didn't hear this at the beginning. Gold and precious metal prices are at an all-time high. So if you're not sending in your dental scrap and being paid for it, you're throwing thousands of dollars out. And if you're sending it to one of the main big names, you're getting ripped off in service fees and percentages and hidden charges. You gotta go with Southern Dental Refining. Just go to matto.com/gold. They absolutely pay the most. I'm gonna guarantee it. They pay more than any other dental scrap purveyor. I like the word purveyor that I've ever seen. So check it out, matto.com/gold, or give them a call at that number, 813-363-3309. Wow, it is almost 9 o'clock here on the East Coast. So I think we are going to have to wrap it up for now. Again, I'm Dr. Richard Matto, co-founder, along with my brother Dave, Dr. David Matto of the Matto Center for Dental Practice Success. That was the Dirty Dozen, how to answer the 12 most difficult questions that patients ask. Thanks so much for taking time out of your night to be here. If you want to hear more and take it to the next level, love to see you at the Dental Success Forum. So just go to matto.com/forum. I'll be there, some members of our coaching team. That's where we let it all hang out and anything goes. So I'll see you at the Dental Success Forum, August 13th, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Thanks so much. I see a lot of people saying thank you just in the panelists. So only me and Sylvia can say it, but thank you, thank you, thank you. You are so welcome. I'm glad you enjoyed the presentation. Again, I really, really take it to heart when people take time out of their busy schedules. I mean, here on the East Coast, it's practically the middle of the night for me. And you took time to be with me and to be with us. And I really, really appreciate it. So to everybody watching from the US, from Canada, from way down under in Australia, we appreciate you so much. We love working with our dental colleagues from all across the world. So thanks so much for being here. I'm Dr. Richard Matto. Great to spend time with you, and I hope to see you at the forum and in our next webinar.